and welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you guys here on this Friday, April 28th, 2023. Thank you for tuning in. Now, here's what I want to say is, blow for Biden as the U.S. economy slows sharply and recession threats grow. The economy is slowing down really quick, guys. I'll tell you, I was in a mall inside the United States of America. I was in a mall 3 months ago, and it's a shopping mall. You know, a mall, not just a shopping center, but a mall. And you know, people go into malls, and what they go there for is their discretionary income, money that they have that they can use for whatever they want, and also impulse buying. These are the reasons why they go to a mall. So they got a little bit extra cash, basically, to spend. And that's how you can see if people have a little bit extra cash in the society that you're talking about. The extra cash comes from people who have jobs, people who are working and stuff. This is a better economic indicator than the government has with their fake numbers. So what did I see? Well, I went during a weekday 3 months ago. And I took note of how many people were in that shopping mall using their discretionary income to do their impulse buying. I took note of it. I sat down on the bench and I watched the people walking around. I noted how many people were in that mall 3 months ago. And I went yesterday. The exact same mall during a weekday, about the same time in the afternoon. What did I notice? I noticed that 1/3, roughly about 1/3, I would say, my estimation, about 1/3, not quite half as many people, but about 1/3 were missing of the people. This means that, looking at this as a general indicator across the country, I would say ultimately that that probably 1/3 of the people now don't have that discretionary income anymore to do impulse buying with. And in a 3-month period, that big of a sharp turn down is actually amazing. And it fits right in with what we're reading here, that the United States economy is slowing sharply downwards toward a recession right now. Now, I'm not going to call it a recession. I'm going to call what's coming a depression because of the magnitude of the amount of deleveraging that can take place during this event. This is the event that I've been talking about for a long time. I call it the deflationary spike event. We're right in the middle of it right now, but it hasn't really hit its full impact yet. This is what's going to set things up for the great print. Well, they're not really printing, but a tremendous amount of new liquidity coming into the system to solve the crisis that they're creating right now. And I'm going to tell you what, I just want to say one more thing about this before we change topics onto something else, is at this point it's like pushing on a string, guys. When they do this, what they need to do in order to try to stimulate things again. And Jerome Powell has come out and whispered into my ear, I heard this, that he's planning on 2 more hikes, 25 basis points each. I think there was a telephone call where he thought he was talking to Zelensky of Ukraine's leader, but maybe he wasn't. And this is what I kind of heard. And he spilled the beans on a few things. And that's what the beans were, I mean. And then a pause in the hiking. I don't know if any of that's true or not. I can't verify it. But it sounds about right to me. 2 more rate hikes of 25 basis points. Just enough to tip the economy into the abyss. Fed's doing it on purpose. They want to tip the economy into the abyss. They want to stimulate a recession. Are they nuts? Because this is not going to be a regular recession. Like I said, what they're doing is creating a 2008 style Lehman moment type event that they're going to have to in turn fix, because it's going to get out of hand. It's going to get out of control. And you know the old saying, be careful what you wish for? Well, they need to be careful what they wish for. Germany here. Now, I found this very interesting, guys. I mean, it's interesting kind of in a humorous sort of way that the the climate activists, well, they've been gluing themselves to things for quite a while now, but they found a new type of glue. And I mean, this glue evidently is something else, because the only way to get them free from the concrete when they glue themselves with this new glue is it's going to take hours and hours, and they're going to have to use jackhammers. Just look at this picture here. This guy he's sitting like a monk or whatever, and they're trying to unglue him. And the guy's got a jackhammer, and he's jackhammering away, and it looks like he's been working for an hour or more, and he's only got part of the guy loose from the concrete. Now, if we take a look at this picture here, they've been jackhammering for a long time. The guy's hand is still stuck. Now, they can't jackhammer his hand. You know, they have to jackhammer around it and under it. And they have to go deep enough where they're not going to tear his hand or anything, you know. And it takes a long time. If any of you guys have ever jackhammered concrete, I have. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm looking at an hour's work there probably already been done on this guy, and his hand is still stuck. You know, and if they leave them there, well, I mean, you can't. And they're here. This is a picture of his hand after they got it jackhammered free, and it's still stuck to a big slab of concrete. I mean, so now they're going to take him to the hospital, okay? And I could see him going into the hospital and laying that down on the desk there, and the doctor coming in and looking at it and saying, "Oh my God, is this some new type of of sculpture? What in the heck am I dealing with here?" And the doctor's going to have to try to get that hand loose. Now we're in for another big thing. It's where the doctor, he doesn't have chisels, and I mean, this is just amazing. I'm just flabbergasted to myself. So anyway, moving on. We got to be careful because there's a mysterious Listeria outbreak that's spreading across 15 states right now. And they don't know the source, but they know it's food. It's something to do with food. They don't know what they're eating, but here's the states that it's in. I guess number of sick people all across the United States here, according to the CDC. It says public health officials are interviewing people in this outbreak to find out what foods they ate before getting sick, the CDC says, adding the infection is especially harmful if you're pregnant or age 65 or older or have a weakened immune system. It makes you seriously ill, from what I understand, and they haven't identified the food item. Now, I'm going to tell you guys what. I don't think it's in certain foods. If you bring foods to a boil, you know, or foods get too hot, I think it's more in the cold served foods. That's just what I'm just guessing. But my guess is it's probably more in the things like maybe, you know, you go in and you see something that's in the cold deli section, you know, and maybe, I'm just saying, you know, and probably not in hot served foods, you know, probably not, but I'm just guessing. Taking a look now at the silver price today. We're looking at $24.83 for silver today, and it's going along sideways today. It's down 8 cents, so, but it's in this small narrow channel right here. The channel goes down as low as $24.50, and it goes as high as $25.20. But right now we're right in the middle at $24.80, $24.83. Let's take a look at gold for a second here. Gold, right, it's in the bottom of its channel right now. It's down $3.90 at 1984. Boy, that was a good year. Anyway, 1984 for gold. Cryptocurrency today. It's the $1,193 billion industry. And we're looking at a Bitcoin price of 29,168 today, and Ethereum price of 1894. Those are the prices. XRP is 46 cents. XRP was above 50 cents there about a week or so ago. So that was 46. Okay, so let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And she's up 126 points on the day at 33,952. And what we see here is almost like it's trying to make some sort of a pattern, you know, and this pattern is very close, in my mind, to the pattern that happened in 1929 before the big stock market crash. And we've already seen, this is if you look at this, right, you see it down to a certain point here, 28,725, and a high of 36,000 roughly. And you see this little bounce that we're in right now. In technical terms, this whole thing is like, as it's going up and up and up, going all the way back to the beginning of the COVID crisis, this whole thing, oh, actually a lot longer. This chart's a lot longer. Okay, here's the COVID crisis right here. But up and up and up and up and up, and then turn down, and a little bounce. It's reminiscent of what you would refer to as a dead cat bounce. Right now, we're in the dead cat bounce on this thing. It's a very typical market pattern. It's a dead cat bounce. And what that would mean is what's coming next is this big downward slide that's probably going to see us go as low as the beginning of the COVID crisis, or maybe a little bit lower. I mean, looking at it here, I would say probably below 25,000 when we see the big slide or the crash. And why are we going to get this big crash? Why? Why would we get this big crash? Is because things are going to catch up with us. All of those very, very quick rate hikes that the Fed did, one right after another, some of them as much as 75 basis points, 50 basis points, 25 basis points, another 25 basis points, on, and they did them very rapidly. This is a very rapid increase in the bond rate. Very, very rapidly moving the overnight rate at the Fed up very quickly. And this has a delayed effect. It's having a delayed effect upon the banking system. It's having a delayed effect upon all the businesses out there. And at the same time, we've got an absence of bank credit going into the system. They're not making loans like they were. They've tightened loan conditions immeasurably. And now we're starting to see this spill over into the general economy. And that's why I was seeing so few people in that shopping mall. It's going to get a hell of a lot worse very, very rapidly from this point forward. And at a certain point, good news has been bad news for the stock market. Bad news has been good news for the stock market. But this could switch back to bad news being bad news again. And what we could be looking at is a precipitous fall in the market. Expect 20% or more on the S&P 500 and probably 20% or more on this market right here. It's expected right now because things are not going to improve from this point forward. Not going to improve until we really start to trudge in the markets, until we start to really trudge toward hyperinflation. And by that time, I mean, your dollar is toast. So what's the point of keeping it in the market? I mean, real things in the real world those are the things that are going to go way up in value when you have to purchase them. And the sky's the limit, not just for gold and for silver, but for real things. So look at your computer you have in your house. People take them for granted. Your computer gets a bit old, people throw them out. Right? Well, your computer, even if it's an old one, could become very valuable because they're not going to be able to get chips like we used to manufacture these things. You know, and it's a real thing that exists in the real world that enables you to do something, a job. Even things like shovels, for crying out loud. Things like shoes, things like that. We're going into a period in world history right now where things, real things, are going to become far more important than digits on a screen. Right now, it's all about digits on the screen being important. But that's a fantasy world. And so the currency has become something like the games the kids play. You know, the kid's all excited. He comes in, guess what, Mom? I've been playing World of Warcraft. Yeah, and I got 1,000,000 gold. I'm rich. But this is what's going on here in the real world here with the people in the markets and stuff. Guess what, Ma? I went out and I worked in the stock market. Right now I got $1,000,000 in the stock market. I'm rich. It's the same damn thing. It's not real. It's all fantasy. It's all fugazi. And yeah, you can, right now, before the hyperinflation, you can take those earnings and stuff. You can move a little bit off the table and you can buy real things with it right now, just for a limited time. But that door's going to close. Okay, let's move on. Let's take a look more. And I don't want to get too bogged down. But crude oil today is $74.68. See, this is just red flagging me right now. Binga, binga, binga. This and the inversion in the yields. Just red flagging that we're heading toward a massive slowdown. Massive. And this is going to reflect in these markets. I don't care. It's going to reflect. It can't do anything else. But looking at the Treasury yields today, bond prices, we're looking at a U.S. 30-year at 3.69. It's down 6.4 basis points. And the U.S. 10-year is at 3.46. It's down 6.1 basis points. We're seeing a little bit of movement to the upside in the 4-month, 6-month, and 1 year. We're looking at 4 months at 5.2. So 4 months, you get 5.2%. Go for 30 years, you get 3.6%. What is that telling you? Telling you the recession's coming. 101.82 on the U.S. dollar index, and the dollar is rising a little bit today. You know, from the start of the day, it was at 101.46. Now it's 101.82, so it's rising a little bit. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Remember, hit that like button. That's important. Comment too. It's really great. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.